Welcome back, everyone. Get ready to explore some fascinating research on Mexico, sent in by one of our listeners, Mac.
Excellent.
They've compiled an amazing collection of information on three specific Mexican states: Campeche, Quintana Roo, and Sinaloa. We're
Okay.
talking about history, culture, food, even some local slang. So
Uh,
let's dive right in and see what hidden gems we can uncover together.
Sounds fantastic.
Our first stop is Campeche.
Ooh, Campeche.
Yeah, Mac describes Campeche City as having walls that rival those in Europe, built to fend off pirate attacks.
Wow. That's a history you can practically touch. But it goes even deeper than pirates, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're talking ancient Mayan civilization here.
Right.
Campeche was home to powerful cities like Calakmul, which rivaled even Tikal in its heyday.
It's mind-blowing to picture these thriving cities in the middle of the jungle centuries ago. And what I find so fascinating is how that Mayan heritage is still present in Campeche today,
Right.
blended with Spanish colonial and Afro-Caribbean influences.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's like a fusion of cultures, and you see it everywhere, from the architecture to the food.
Oh, absolutely. You see this cultural fusion in the panuchos, for instance. It's a street food where Mayan corn tortillas are combined with Spanish pork and Afro-Caribbean spices.
It's a true taste of Campeche's history right there on your plate.
Mm-hmm.
And Mac raves about this dish called pan de cazón.
Pan de cazón?
Yeah, it layers tortillas with black beans and shark meat.
Shark meat.
Shark meat in a spicy tomato sauce.
Wow, who knew shark was on the menu in Campeche?
Right. It just shows you the resourcefulness of the people and their connection to the sea.
It really does. And you also mentioned camarones al coco, coconut shrimp, and pescado a la tiquinsinqui.
Yeah, fish cooked in achiote and citrus. The flavors are out of this world.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to share this bit of local slang Mac jotted down. Que chulo Campeche.
What does that mean?
How beautiful Campeche. I can already hear myself saying it as I stroll through those cobblestone streets.
It's those little details that really transport you to a new place. And speaking of transporting, let's talk about the sounds of Campeche.
The music.
Yes, Mac mentions a mix of jarranas
Those lively folk tunes.
with Spanish roots, yes.
Yeah.
And then you have Trova Yucateca, known for its poetic lyrics.
Oh, and we can't forget the marimba music.
Right, which has indigenous origins and uses wooden instruments to create those beautiful resonant sounds.
Yeah. Such a unique mix of musical traditions.
It is. And then there's Son Campechano. It fuses Caribbean rhythms with traditional Mexican sounds. It's like Campeche is a symphony of cultures, each one adding its own unique note.
Absolutely. And what about those festivals Mac mentioned? The Campeche Carnival, for instance, one of the oldest in Mexico, dating back to the 1500s.
That's right. And the Vaqueria dances are another highlight.
Oh, yeah, the costumes, the music, the energy.
Exactly. Imagine dancers in these elaborate costumes, their steps blending Mayan and Spanish traditions.
It makes you want to book a flight right now, doesn't it? It certainly does. And speaking of journeys, our next stop takes us further south to Quintana Roo.
Okay, with Campeche's vibrant culture still ringing in our ears, let's head to Quintana Roo, where ancient Mayan magic meets modern paradise.
Sounds good.
Mac's notes are just filled with breathtaking descriptions of this state, from ancient ruins to luxury resorts.
It's an amazing place. What strikes me is the juxtaposition. You have pre-Hispanic cities like Tulum, Coba, and Mul, showcasing the Mayas' advanced knowledge of astronomy with their pyramids and observatories.
It's incredible to think about, isn't it? And then you have the rise of Cancun in the 1970s, this boom in tourism that transformed the region.
Right. Ancient history and modern development coexisting.
Sometimes harmoniously, sometimes not.
Yeah. And then you have the emergence of ecotourism in places like Tulum and Playa del Carmen.
Like people are seeking a deeper connection with the ancient energy of the Maya.
It's like a pilgrimage in a way.
And speaking of ancient energy, Mac's notes go deep into cenotes.
Cenotes.
Yeah, those stunning natural sinkholes sacred to the Maya. Oh, right. Those incredible formations created by collapsing limestone bedrock. I've seen pictures. They're amazing. Often have these unique ecosystems, too, with blind cavefish and rare crustaceans.
They really are something else. And for the Maya, these cenotes were portals to the underworld, places of ritual and spiritual connection.
I can see why. There's a real sense of mystery and wonder surrounding them.
There's even mention of the Sacred Mayan Journey, a modern-day reenactment of ancient pilgrimages by canoe from Xcaret to Cozumel.
Wow, that's incredible. They're honoring the goddess Ixchel, right?
Yes. It shows how those ancient traditions are still woven into modern life. And that sense of mystery extends to the festivals and music of Quintana Roo.
Oh, absolutely.
Mac specifically mentions Hanal Pixan, the Mayan Day of the Dead, which has unique traditions and offerings compared to the celebrations in other parts of Mexico.
Fascinating.
And then there's the Festival of the Virgin of Carmen in Cozumel, which blends Catholic and Mayan practices.
Beautiful example of syncretism.
The music scene is pretty wild, too. Traditional Maya music, with its haunting melodies, then modern influences like reggae, salsa, and even EDM. Mac even asks, have you ever been to an underwater music festival?
Underwater music festival, that's a new one.
Apparently there's one called the BPM Festival in Playa del Carmen. It's a fusion, just like the culture itself.
Wow. Ancient rhythms meeting modern beats. I love it.
All that dancing makes me hungry. Speaking of which, Mac mentions a dish called coquinita pibil.
Coquinita pibil. Now we're talking.
Slow-cooked pork, marinated in achiote and citrus. Imagine those aromas mingling with the salty sea air.
Makes my mouth water just thinking about it.
And there's sopa de lima, a lime-flavored chicken soup, and tamales colados. Mac really highlights the use of local ingredients and the variety of culinary experiences.
It sounds like a foodie paradise.
It does, doesn't it? But before we book our flights, we have one more state to explore on this deep dive. Sinaloa.
All right, Sinaloa. Let's hear about it.
From what I've gathered from Mac's notes, Sinaloa promises a different kind of energy. One that's both deeply rooted in tradition and just bursting with life.
Okay.
Mac paints this really vivid picture. Picture a sunset over the Pacific Ocean, the sound of banda music filling the air, and the aroma of fresh seafood. It's like a postcard come to life.
I can almost smell the ocean air.
Right. And behind that postcard image lies a rich history influenced by indigenous groups like the Yurema and Tehueco peoples.
And they've left their mark on Sinaloa's cultural landscape.
Oh, absolutely. From festivals to dances to art. And speaking of festivals, we can't forget Carnaval de Mazatlan.
Yes.
Max says it's one of Mexico's oldest and most famous carnivals, with parades, fireworks, and celebrations all along the Malecon.
The Malecon.
Yeah, the city's iconic boardwalk. It's a celebration of life, of joy, of the spirit of Sinaloa.
I love that. The spirit of Sinaloa.
And that spirit is definitely reflected in their passion for baseball. Mac mentions that teams like Los Tomateros de Culiacan and Venados de Mazatlan draw huge crowds. Yeah, and spark some pretty serious rivalries.
So baseball's a big deal there. Okay, I get it.
It really is.
No.
But let's talk about what really sets Sinaloa apart musically.
Okay, what's that?
Banda Sinaloense.
Banda Sinaloa?
Yeah, you know that brass-heavy sound unique to Sinaloa?
Oh, yeah. I think I've heard that. It's pretty catchy.
It is. It has roots in German immigrant culture from way back in the 19th century.
Really? German influence in Mexican music. That's interesting. So how did that happen?
Well, it's a long story, but basically German immigrants brought their polka and waltz traditions to the region.
Okay.
And over time, those blended with Mexican musical styles and instruments like the tuba and the clarinet.
Fascinating how those seemingly different influences combine to create something totally new.
It is. And it's a sound that makes you want to get up and dance, you know?
I bet. It sounds like it has a lot of energy. Is there any singing involved, or is it mainly instrumental?
Oh, there's singing, too. And actually, speaking of singing, there's also corrido sinaloense.
Corrido Sinaloense.
Yeah, these ballads, they tell stories of the region, its history, heroes, heartbreaks, you know.
Oh, like folk songs, passing down the history and legends through music.
Exactly. It's a musical tradition so deeply connected to the land and its people.
It sounds like it. Are there any famous banda or corrido artists from Sinaloa?
Oh, tons. Mac mentions Banda El Recodo. They're known as the mother of all bands.
Mother of all bands. Wow.
And Julio Preciado is a renowned banda singer. Sinaloa has definitely made some major contributions to Mexican music.
For sure. And we can't talk about Sinaloa without mentioning the food, right?
You read my mind. You gotta talk about the food.
What are some of the must-try dishes?
Well, are you ready for this?
Hit me with it.
Aguachile.
Aguachile. Okay.
It's shrimp marinated in lime juice, chili, cucumber, and red onion.
Whoa, that sounds incredible.
It's spicy, refreshing, and basically considered the signature dish of Sinaloa.
So fresh, vibrant flavors like the state itself. Makes
Oh.
sense.
Exactly. And it's not just aguachile. There's also ceviche sinaloense, quilorio, a flavorful shredded pork dish, and tamales barbones. They're known for their texture, kind of like a beard, hence the name.
That's funny, tamales barbones. So Sinaloa's got the music, the festivals, the food. But, as we've been talking, I'm noticing how much Mac focused on the natural side of things, too, in all three stars.
Oh, you picked up on that, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just about the beaches and resorts. It's clear Mac really appreciates the biodiversity and the ecosystems.
It's like they're urging us to look beyond the typical tourist attractions, to appreciate the natural wonders that make these places so unique.
Exactly. And speaking of natural wonders, in Campeche, Mac highlights the Calakmul Biosphere Reserve.
The Calakmul Biosphere Reserve.
Yeah, it's one of the largest tropical forests in Mexico,
Wow.
and a UNESCO-protected area teeming with wildlife. Jaguars, ocelots, howler monkeys, you name it.
Jaguars in Mexico. That's amazing. I had no idea.
Right. It really speaks to how untouched some parts of this region still are. And then there's the Gulf of Mexico coast with its sea turtles, mangroves, and coral reefs.
It's a whole different world under the sea. And it's all connected, right? The health of the forests impacts the coast and vice versa.
That's exactly what Mac is getting at. It's a delicate web of life that we need to understand and respect.
Absolutely. And speaking of respect for nature, Quintana Roo has a big emphasis on ecotourism and sustainable practices.
You're right. Mac even mentions the Siancán Biosphere Reserve, another UNESCO World Heritage Site, with its rainforests, marshes, and reefs.
It's incredible how diverse the landscape is, from jungles to beaches to underwater worlds.
It really is. And then there's Banco Chinchorro, the largest coral atoll in the Northern Hemisphere.
Wow, imagine diving there, surrounded by all those colorful coral formations and marine life.
I know, it sounds unbelievable.
It does. And what about Sinaloa? What kind of natural treasures does it hold?
Well, Sinaloa's got a diverse landscape, too, from the Pacific coastline to the Sierra Madre Occidental Mountains.
Mountains, too. Okay, this state has everything.
It seems like it. Mac highlights the Islas Marias Biosphere Reserve. It's part of UNESCO's global network of biosphere reserves. It's known for its unique flora and fauna, even endemic species found nowhere else on Earth.
Endemic species. What are those?
Basically, creatures that have adapted to that specific environment over millions of years.
So they're like totally unique to those islands.
Exactly. Like, there's the Tres Marias raccoon. It's only found on those islands. It's a testament to the power of evolution and the incredible biodiversity of our planet.
That's fascinating. So Sinaloa has these rare and exotic creatures, but it's not just about that, right?
Right. Mac also mentions the importance of mangroves along the coast.
Mangroves. Aren't those just like trees in the water? What's so special about them?
Well, they're vital ecosystems. They protect the shorelines from erosion, they filter the water, and provide habitats for so many species. It's a reminder that even the seemingly ordinary ecosystems play a huge role in the overall health of the planet.
Makes sense. Everything's connected.
Exactly. And speaking of connections, Mac talks about how the natural wonders of these places are deeply intertwined with the culture and spiritual beliefs of the people.
Oh, that makes sense. Like, remember how we talked about cenotes being portals to the underworld for the Maya? That connection between nature and spirituality runs deep.
It does. And it's not just ancient history either. Mac's notes mention present-day Maya communities still practicing ancient rituals, honoring the spirits of the forest and the sea. It's like a beautiful thread connecting the past and present.
It really is. Okay, so we've talked about the nature, the spirituality, the culture, but what about the people? I'm curious to learn more about the individuals who make these places so special.
Me too. And that's a great transition because Mac actually highlights some pretty amazing individuals in their notes. For example, in Campeche, they talk about Justo Sierra Mendez.
Justo Sierra Mendez. Okay, and who is that?
He was a prominent writer and historian from the region, and he's considered a father of modern Mexican education.
Wow, so his legacy is still felt today.
Oh, definitely. His ideas about education and social justice continue to influence Mexican society.
That's pretty amazing. One person can make such a big difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there are all the artisans in Campeche, keeping those traditional crafts alive.
Oh, right. What kind of crafts do they make?
Max specifically mentions hammock weaving, wood carving, and jade jewelry. They all reflect those beautiful Mayan aesthetics.
I bet that's stunning. Handmade crafts passed down through generations. It's like holding a piece of history in your hands.
You know, it's interesting. Mac even mentions the pirate legends of Campeche, like tales of Lawrence de Graff and other swashbuckling figures. Those stories have become part of the local folklore.
It's like adding a layer of intrigue, a touch of the fantastical.
Right, makes the history come alive.
Totally. And speaking of keeping traditions alive, in Quintana Roo, Mac highlights the role of Maya elders and healers.
Oh yeah, the keepers of ancient traditions, medicine, and spiritual knowledge.
Exactly. They're like the living embodiment of that wisdom.
They are. And then you have the modern influences shaping Quintana Roo's identity, like Tulum becoming a global hub for wellness culture.
I can see that. Tulum has a certain energy, a focus on holistic living. It makes sense.
And it's interesting how ancient Maya practices like yoga and meditation are now finding new life in this modern context.
It's all coming full circle.
It is. And then, of course, there's the impact of tourism.
Right, Cancun and Tulum are in so many travel magazines and movies.
They've become these symbols of paradise and escape. But within that, there's a growing movement of eco-influencers and artists promoting sustainable tourism and Mayan cultural heritage.
So like a counterbalance.
Yeah, reminding us to be mindful and respectful as we explore these beautiful places. And that brings us to Sinaloa. Mac's notes really emphasize the importance of understanding the people, its history, its complexities.
So it's about more than just the beaches and the resorts.
Way more. I mean, we talked about Pedro Infante, the iconic actor and singer from Mazatlan.
Right, a legend.
But Mac also mentions Jose Angel Espinoza Ferrasquilla, a singer-songwriter who wrote some of Mexico's most beloved ranchera songs.
Wow, I'm learning so much about Sinaloa's contributions to Mexican culture.
Me too. And it goes beyond music. Mac even points to baseball legends like Teodoro Higuera, a Major League Baseball pitcher from Sinaloa.
No way. See, talent comes from everywhere.
It does. And even though Sinaloa has faced challenges, Mac's notes really emphasize the resilience of the people,
Their warmth, their love of life.
their vibrant culture. It's a reminder that every place has a story to tell, and those stories are often way more complex and multifaceted than we might realize.
Totally. It's about digging deeper, going beyond the surface.
And that's exactly what Mac's notes encourage us to do. They invite us to uncover those layers, those nuances, those hidden gems that make each of these states so unique.
Okay, so now that we've explored all these different aspects of these states, I'm ready to see how it all comes together.
Me too. Let's see what Mac has to say about the specific landmarks and cities that give each of these states their character. It's like piecing together a puzzle, right? Seeing how all these stories and insights we've gathered actually manifest in the physical spaces.
Exactly. So where do we start?
Well, let's start in Campeche, where Mac takes us straight to the heart of the capital city, San Francisco de Campeche.
Ah, Campeche City. What's it like?
Mac describes it as famous for its fortified walls, cobblestone streets, and colorful colonial houses. It's like stepping back in time.
I bet. And those historic gates, Puerta de Tierra and Puerta de Mar, they still stand guard, right? Guarding the entrance to the walled city.
They do. And then there's the Malecón de Campeche, the waterfront promenade.
Oh, a Malecon. Sounds lovely.
It is. Perfect for an evening stroll, enjoying the ocean breeze.
A city made for wandering, getting lost in those narrow streets, maybe finding a hidden courtyard or a charming cafe. Did Mac mention any specific landmarks? Besides the walls, of course.
Oh yeah, they say not to miss the Campeche Cathedral, a Baroque masterpiece that dominates the main square.
A Baroque cathedral. Wow, I can picture it now.
And of course, we can't forget the archaeological wonders.
Right, the Mayan ruins.
Mac highlights the Calakmul Archaeological Zone, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was once one of the most powerful Mayan city-states.
It's amazing to think about how these ancient cities are still standing today, whispering their stories to us.
It's humbling, isn't it? And then there's Edzna, another impressive Mayan site known for its Temple of the Five Stories.
5 stories high. That must be an incredible sight.
Imagine climbing to the top, gazing out over the jungle canopy, just feeling the weight of history all around you.
I'm adding that to my bucket list. Okay, so we've got the walled city, the cathedral, the Mayan ruins. Anything else in Campeche worth checking out?
Oh, Mac also suggests a visit to Isla Agrada, a picturesque fishing village.
A fishing village. What's special about it?
Well, it's a place to spot dolphins and soak up those laid-back coastal vibes.
That sounds lovely. A nice change of pace from the city.
Exactly.
Wow.
A perfect way to round out the Campeche experience. Ready to move on to Quintana Roo.
Let's go. What does Mac have in store for us there?
Well, no exploration of Quintana Roo would be complete without a visit to Cancun.
Cancun, of course. The heart of the Riviera Maya.
Synonymous with luxury resorts, white sand beaches, and vibrant nightlife.
The party capital of Mexico.
It is. But Mac encourages us to look beyond the typical tourist attractions and explore some of the hidden gems. Like, have you ever heard of the Museo Subacuático de Arte?
Museo Subacuático de Arte. What's that?
It's also known as MUSA, an underwater museum.
Wait, an underwater museum.
Yeah, it's a collection of sculptures submerged in the ocean.
Why would they put sculptures underwater?
Well, they're actually designed to promote coral growth.
Oh, that's cool. So it's art and conservation all in one.
Exactly. It creates a really unique diving experience.
I bet. I can imagine swimming through a gallery of sculptures, With fish darting in and out, that's definitely something I'd want to see.
Okay, and now for a slightly more traditional site. Mac raves about Tulum,
Tulum, okay.
with its Mayan ruins perched on cliffs overlooking the Caribbean Sea.
Oh yeah, Tulum. I've seen pictures of that. Absolutely breathtaking.
It really is. It's that perfect fusion of history, culture, and natural beauty.
And it attracts a certain kind of traveler too, right? Those who are seeking a more holistic, maybe spiritual journey.
You're right. It has a very different vibe from Cancun. And then there's Playa del Carmen, with its bustling beach clubs and chic boutiques.
And easy access to the ferry to Cozumel,
Right, Cozumel. Famous for its world-class diving in the Mesoamerican Reef.
the second largest coral reef system in the world. I can only imagine the vibrant marine life you'd see there.
It's supposed to be incredible. But Quintana Roo is more than just its coastline.
Okay, what else is there?
Mac also takes us inland to Chetumal.
Chetumal.
It's the capital of the state.
Oh, I didn't realize that. What's special about Chetumal?
Well, it's a bit off the beaten path compared to the coastal cities. It offers a glimpse into the heart of Mayan culture.
Interesting. So less touristy.
Exactly. There's the Museum of Mayan Culture there, which showcases the region's history and heritage.
So if you want to really immerse yourself in Mayan culture, Chetumal's the place to go.
It sounds like it. And Mac recommends a few other hidden gems in Quintana Roo.
Oh, like what?
Well, there's Bacalar. It's known for its stunning lagoon of 7 colors. Imagine kayaking through crystal clear waters, surrounded by mangroves and ancient cenotes.
Wow, that sounds magical. 7 different colors? I've never heard of anything like it.
It's supposed to be incredible. And for something truly awe-inspiring, you can't miss Coba.
Coba, what's there?
It's home to the Nohokmul Pyramid.
Nohokmul, okay.
It's the tallest pyramid in the Yucatan Peninsula.
The tallest in the whole peninsula. That's pretty impressive.
It is. And finally, there's Isla Mujeres, which is just a haven for relaxation.
Ah, Isla Mujeres.
They have these tranquil beaches,
Yeah.
like Playa Norte, and they're known for their commitment to sea turtle conservation.
So it's a beautiful and eco-conscious destination.
It is. It sounds like the perfect place to unwind after all of our exploring.
I agree. Okay, I think I'm ready for our final stop. What about you? Ready for Sinaloa?
Let's go. Mac's notes lead us to Mazatlan, the Pearl of the Pacific. It's a city that really embodies the spirit of Sinaloa.
Okay, what's that spirit?
Vibrant, welcoming, and full of history. Mac highlights the iconic Malecon, one of the longest oceanfront boardwalks in the world.
Perfect for strolling, people watching, just soaking up the energy of the city.
Exactly. And for a bit of culture, Mac recommends the Angela Peralta Theater, a beautifully restored 19th century opera house.
An opera house in Mazatlan. Didn't see that coming.
Right. It's a reminder of the city's artistic heritage. What about inland? Any must-see spots there?
Sure, Max suggests visiting Culiacan, the capital of Sinaloa,
Coyoacán, okay.
and its botanical garden. It's a stunning oasis designed by world-class architects, featuring modern art installations along with a diverse collection of plants. A perfect blend of nature and culture.
I love those kinds of places where art and nature collide.
Me too. And for architecture buffs, Mac recommends the Nuestra Señora del Rosario Cathedral, a beautiful example of colonial architecture.
Sounds beautiful.
It is. And Mac also encourages us to venture beyond the cities and explore some of Sinaloa's natural wonders, like Los Mochis.
Los Mochis.
It's the starting point of the Chipe train, which journeys through the Copper Canyon. Have you heard of that?
The Copper Canyon.
Vaguely. It's a series of canyons in the Sierra Madre Occidental Mountains, even larger and deeper than the Grand Canyon.
Wow, I had no idea. That sounds incredible.
It is. And for a taste of colonial charm, Mac recommends El Fuerte.
El Fuerte, what's that?
It's a pueblo mágico, known for its well-preserved architecture and indigenous traditions.
A Pueblo Mágico, what's that? I've heard that term before.
It means magical town. It's a designation given to towns in Mexico that have a special charm, history, or cultural significance.
Oh, I get it. So it's like a town with a unique story to tell.
Exactly. And El Fuerte definitely has a story to tell. It's also close to the Copper Canyon, so you could combine those two experiences.
That's great that they highlight these less touristy spots.
It's all about getting off the beaten path, right? Discovering those hidden gems.
And speaking of getting away from the crowds, Max suggests Topolobampo Bay.
Topolobampo Bay, okay.
It's known for its eco-tours, dolphin watching, and pristine beaches.
Sounds like a nature lover's paradise.
It does, doesn't it? And finally, for a taste of local life, Mac recommends Altada Beach. It's a popular weekend spot for locals, known for its fresh seafood and laid-back vibes.
The perfect way to end our Sinaloan adventure.
It really is. And with that, our whirlwind tour of Campeche, Quintana Roo, and Sinaloa comes to an end.
I don't know about you, but I feel like I just took a crash course in Mexican culture and geography.
Me too. It's amazing how much we were able to uncover from just a few pages of notes. It's clear that Mexico offers something for everyone, whether you're seeking adventure, relaxation, cultural immersion, or just a chance to connect with nature.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that there's always more to discover, always more to learn, always more to experience.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep your hearts open to the endless possibilities that await.
Adios, amigos.